Once, a king wished to highly reward his servant and asked what he desired. The servant requested a reward of a grain of rice in the first square of a chessboard, 2 in the second square, 4 in the third, and so on, doubling with each subsequent square. The king laughed because the request seemed modest and agreed. The number grew slowly at the beginning. However, as the doubling continued until the 64th square, the amount of rice grew exponentially. It grew so much that the entire treasure couldn't fulfill the wish. It amounted to this number: 18 quintillion, or in simpler terms, 18,000 trillion. Keep the story in mind and now start thinking about how Warren Buffett amassed $134 billion. Even though he isn't the greatest profit maker, he makes a 22% return. The greatest profit maker of all time is Jim Simmons. Since 1988, Jim has been making a 66% return and has a net worth of $21 billion. The secret to Warren Buffett's wealth is time and compounding. Buffett started investing at the age of 10, became a billionaire at 55, and acquired 99% of his wealth after his 65th birthday. This leads us to the conclusion that a good investment is not about achieving the highest return, as the highest returns cannot always be repeated. A good investment is one that provides a solid return that can be sustained over the longest period of time. This is one of the most important lessons from this book. This book answers some very interesting questions. How did a janitor manage to have more money in their bank account than a Howard MBA graduate? Why does Bill Gates think that one lucky event made him rich? And many more. This book begins with the stories of 2 very different men, Ronald Read and Richard Fuskin. The story summarizes many of the ideas in this book. Both Ronald and Richard passed away in 2014. Ronald was a janitor, while Richard was a Howard University MBA. Richard had a highly successful financial career that allowed him to retire in his 40s and live a luxurious life in a mansion with 2 elevators and 7 garages. However, in 2014, due to bankruptcy, his mansion was auctioned off. On the other hand, Ronald, when he passed away, left behind an $8 million fortune. He achieved this by saving money and investing it for the long term. The author says, financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill where how you behave is more important than what you know. Most of the book is an exploration of the soft skills that the janitor possessed and which skills the Howard graduate lacked. In 1929, when almost everyone lost almost all of their money within days during the Great Depression, Jesse Livermore earned a fortune equivalent to $3 billion. However, after 4 years in 1933, Livermore took his own life because he had lost all his wealth in the stock market. This was due to his financial mismanagement. The lesson we learn here is that it's easier to earn wealth than to stay wealthy. Even in today's world, we see successful people filing for bankruptcy. In 2015, 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy, citing debts of $32.5 million. This raises questions about acquiring wealth when we don't have the ability to keep it. People often focus on the question, how much money comes into your life? But the question that should be asked is how much is still there. Now let's take a look at the lives of you and your twin brother Jimmy. Each of you inherited $1 million from your father. Jimmy is a better investor than you. For Jimmy can earn a 20% annual return, whereas you can earn a 12% annual return. Who would be richer? No, not Jimmy, because there is more to the story. Jimmy spends most of his money while you spend less. You can spend less if you desire less. You will desire less if you care less about what others think of you. In Thailand, when white elephants were considered symbols of prosperity, the king would gift a white elephant to a person who had displeased him. This might seem like an honor. It was actually a burdensome gift. The recipient could not put the elephant to work or sell it, as it was a sacred animal. However, the elephant still required extensive care and resources, which would ruin the recipient financially. Morgan Housel says that saving is income minus white elephant. Sorry, income minus ego. Ego is the desire to spend money to show people that you have money. To explain the psychology of ego, the author tells the story of a rich boy who found an easy way to become poor. He once broke a lamp in a restaurant. When the manager asked him to pay $500, the boy gave him $5,000 and told him not to insult him again. Once he gave money to his friend to buy some gold coins, not for saving, but to throw into the Pacific to see whose coin would go the furthest. In this way, he lost his money. A powerful way to increase your savings isn't to raise your income, it's to raise your humility. Now you might be thinking, what's the point of saving money if not for buying things? Well, the answer to this question comes after the next big idea from the book. On average, in the US, more than 16,000 accidents happen each day. Not a single one of those individuals was thinking they would have an accident when they left home. Accidents have a bad habit. They happen only when you think they will not happen. Otherwise, if you know it, it won't be an accident. In your financial journey, accidents can happen. The lesson we learn to stay wealthy is leave room for error. No one would have invested in real estate in 2007 if they knew what was coming in 2008. And if someone was wise enough in 2007, they would have left some of their money with themselves while investing in real estate. The message that the author wants to give us is that don't put all your eggs in one basket. Keep some of your money saved. In case an unknown problem comes in your way, you have something to start again. Now in the last part, let's address the question, why do we save money if not for buying luxury items? Many of us share thoughts similar to Stephen. Stephen, a manager at his firm with a decent salary, hosted his son's birthday party. Among the guests was his friend Richard. During the party, Richard and Stephen got a chance to talk about their lives. Richard asked about his life. Stephen responded, "Very happy. Get salary, buy things, party, go on vacation." Richard then suggested that Stephen should save some money. Stephen's response was, "Save money? For what?" Richard explained that saving and investing could lead to enjoy life. Stephen countered, "What am I doing right now? I'm enjoying life. I'm buying cars, partying, and going on vacation. What else would one save money for? Even you have accumulated wealth. We're both equally happy." You might think Stephen was right. Either enjoy it now or later. However, this isn't entirely true. Shortly after, Stephen received a message from his boss, requiring him to leave the party and join a meeting immediately. Richard commented, "I have the option to enjoy my friend's son's birthday party, and you don't have time to attend your son's birthday party." Despite owning a luxurious car with many options, Stephen had no option to decline his boss's request. Morgan says, "The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, 'I can do whatever I want today,' which surpasses your salary and the prestige of your job." The author suggests that one must have at least a 6-month emergency fund, enough to take a few days off work when sick, wait for a good job after being laid off, and not fear the boss because you know you won't be ruined if you have to take time off to find a new job. Using your money to buy time and options offers a lifestyle benefit that few luxury goods can compete with. The next big idea from the book is the role of risk and luck in wealth accumulation. In 1968, there were roughly 303 million high school-age people in the world, and only 300 of them went to Lakeside School, one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer. Bill Gates was one in a million lucky individuals who attended this school. Gates himself said in an address, "If there had been no Lakeside, there would have been no Microsoft." Now let me tell you about Gates' friend, Kent Evans. He also went to that school, which also makes him one in a million lucky. Bill Gates and Kent Evans became best friends in 8th grade. Evans was, by Gates' own account, the best student in the class. Kent shared Bill's business mind and endless ambition. Bill and Kent knew they'd do it together. Kent died in a mountaineering accident before he graduated high school. Every year, there are around 36 mountaineering deaths in the United States. The odds of being killed in mountaineering in high school are roughly 1 in a million. Gates confessed that if Kent were alive, he would have been the co-founder of Microsoft. By this example, the author doesn't want us to depend solely on luck, but also doesn't want us to ignore it. There are 2 types of luck: the luck that happens to you and the luck you create. For instance, if you're selling insurance and currently making 50 calls daily, selling 2 policies per day, you can then enjoy your day. However, if you increase this to 100 calls daily, it will increase your probability of selling, thereby increasing your chances of being lucky. The most important lesson is the last one, but before that is a psychological behavior we all must understand. No one is crazy when it comes to financial decisions. This can be understood from the sentence, if you're selling a stock, someone is buying it. People from different generations, backgrounds, incomes, values, geographical locations, economies, job markets, and luck experiences very different lessons. Hence, decisions are not always made in a purely logical basis, but are influenced by unique experiences and emotions. A single financial decision doesn't fit all. Your knowledge is not perfect. Read, watch, and learn. Final lesson. Before the final lesson, let me tell you something important. You've watched this video up to this point, indicating your determination to get rich. I believe you will definitely achieve wealth. If you found this video valuable, please like and share it with someone you want to see succeed financially. Rajat Gupta was born in the slums of India, became a successful businessman, and amassed a net worth of $100 million. Even a 5% return on that generates $14,000 a day. He could have done anything he wanted in life, but greed drove him to leak Goldman Sachs information for personal gain, ultimately leading him to prison. This is the final and most important lesson of all: learning to say enough. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Feel free to answer either one. Can money buy happiness? Or what is the best financial advice you've ever received?